for what exactly it is that you're trying to do. Yeah, we can also conduct much as very traditional group-based discussions, have a few people, get a few campus kids. I usually do this when we're trying to do university activations. Find the guild or 6 people, sit down, ask them, what's happening? How are you? What's cool? Then you get to know their timetable. Then you get to know what their interests are, yeah? When you're this side, you might think people are always into DJs, but recently they're carving more into, you know, chilling together, like the traditional way they would sit, grill, because for them that is what is cool now. But you might not know that if you do not actually sit with them and conduct this research. I'll also give you an example of some of the successful campaigns that I've conducted, all the information that I've used. Sprite, it ran a campaign, I think it was called Refresh Your Vibes or something, forgive me. They had new packaging. So what they did, they were fronting the aspect of refreshment, yeah? And what they were selling you was, with Sprite, your refreshment is not just on the inside, but also outside. So it was by the beach, no more day-to-day. People are coming, running, having the best time. There were Sprite showers. So, you know, it's a hot day, you know, turn on the Sprite, yeah? And this really, this campaign has led to an estimated 98.6% shoot up in product sales. Yeah, it was one of their best campaigns yet. And it seemed like something so it was amplified on digital, but also, you know, BTL as well. I'll use some of our work because I cannot sell all these ideas without having used some of them. MTN Uganda, they have this property called MTN Pulse because the brand realized that once their generation of people that actually used and loved working with MTN were now way older and they were not really tapping into the new. So they created a property to engage the 15 to 24-year-old Ugandan. Yeah, and it was mostly to position themselves as a younger brand because we also have all those brands that we think are for our forefathers or no one uses them anymore. Yeah, so our execution idea, we had to introduce an MTN Pulse lifestyle. So you're telling these guys, no, we are not those old guys you think we are. We're actually cool. We're actually young. So in here, we're able to do hip-hop ciphers, campus engagements. We also conducted some online virtual shows during COVID as well. So just to stay relevant to the audience as well. And for the activity results, MTN grew their numbers from 13,500 people to 42,000 individuals in their first quarter. There was also a 65% increase in their online engagement, and then also a 13% shift in positive perception about the brand among who were targeting. I'll also give an example of a Brews and Brushes event we conducted last year by Guinness. So Guinness was trying to come back to Tanzania and be a bit more relevant and strong. Yeah. So before then, we launched the Brews and Brushes campaign, and it was mostly to solidify the connection between Guinness and young upcoming creatives, people who are doing art, those who are doing fashion, the ones who are also passionate about sports, but are young, don't really have a voice, no one is looking out for them. Yeah, so it was mostly to create a positive and healthy image for the brand, and also improve customer loyalty because not very many people have been drinking Guinness. Yeah, so that was a very insightful and successful interaction. The last thing I want to speak about is some of our most common questions, especially with clients when we propose to them some of these engagements, and also in-house people when we're asking ourselves, is there a need to actually spend on these executions? Is there longevity? Yeah, but most times when someone comes and tells you, oh, for us to sell your brand, there's this new DJ. And you're like, honestly, I have to invest in production and I have to invest in output. Now a DJ, yeah? But this is why all experiential on-ground campaigns need to tie into the 8-year plan. And that is how we achieve longevity. Yeah, so some of the ways you can do that is post-execution material, like some of the videos that were shared. We can also be intentional with setting targets for the different marketing brands and agencies. So you're not just out there looking for consumers. How many consumers are you looking for? How are you looking to, engage these consumers? You need to have your numbers straight, so set your targets. Training and management, yeah? We usually believe because these things seem late, it's a product. I mean, here, buy my phone. Yeah, it seems quite easy, but it's not. Training teams and being sure that that comes to play. The tech team, could you kindly help me play a video clip before I close off completely so that I can open Friday officially? This was the version of Oktoberfest this weekend. We've all seen the one that happened here. I want to gossip about the one that happened at our neighbors. So, yeah. Excuse me, is it working? Okay, thank you.
Drinks, got my people dancing drunken style. Drinks, got my people putting on a smile. Sawa ya kunywa bide. Na rumor, oh no, this na rumor. This is no rumor. I'm sipping on some.
Okay, why I played that video is to tap into what we're trying to say. This is the same strategy for Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. We also led the team that did the Oktoberfest event this weekend. We were part of the event management. Actually, we managed the entire event, which was a very big blessing for us. But why I played that clip is to show that it is the same plan, same execution plan that worked for 4 countries. The brand is communicating inclusivity, culture. They're also using the different multisensory engagements that we've talked about to be able to speak to their ideal consumer. We've seen some people who have albinism. We've seen some people who struggle with dwarfism, I think it's called. Yeah. So all these communications were done in the boardroom with all the English spoken, but then also the consumer gets to see and understands everything. So everything I spoke about in my presentation today was in that small 30 seconds clip. The insights and strategies, how, where, who. And then it comes down to how do we get our results, report analysis. And that is what we're conducting this week and next week, yeah, for the brand. So thank you so much for listening to me. I hope my information was a bit valuable, and happy Friday.
Thank you very much, Cleopatra. That was very well said, very well presented, and it's really nice to get to understand the insights from what we saw over the weekend. So thank you very much. And for our very, very last activity, I'm going to call upon a panel of some few people. And I know that you have reserved your questions. So now this is the time for the questions. So may I call you back, Cleopatra? May I call Miss Doreen Bangapi, Mr. Bruce Mugaisi, and Mr. Leslie. DJ, please, will you bring the panelists, the music? Mr. DJ, can we have some music? Anyway. Can I have the other microphones, please?
So this one is called Kilele.
Thank you very much, and you are all welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And we have started receiving some pictures from different If you look on the groups, you have started receiving some pictures from different links. So please post them and put a hashtag, Marketing Congress and Awards 2023. We have one missing, Miss Sakri from Blue Train, please. So we have had some questions as the presentations were going on. So should we start with you, Mr. Bruce? Do you remember your question, or should I remind you? Okay. So the question was on customer involvement. Yeah. If he would like to remind you, but he asked that many campaigns are done, but he needs to know how should the customer involvement be into that.
Cool. So how should the customers be involved? How should consumers be involved, isn't it? I think when you go back to what I had presented earlier, and I say that sustainability is more like a social issue. So there are people who really don't care about environment based on how they were raised, based on what they went through in when they were growing up. So you will see people when it comes to littering, it's not a big deal for them. But then there are those people who actually care about the environment. So if you are a bank, for example, if you are FMCG driving maybe juice or anything, is to try and see what value do you have as an organization that resonates with customers who really care about things like environment, things like sustainability, and embed them in your product cycle, in your marketing activities, to see that these are things that you as an organization do. Because remember, this customer is not sitting with you in the organization. You have employees, you have the company itself with the board that is driving your sustainability agenda, but the consumer who cares about it, if they don't know, they might easily, so if it's a bank, they might easily go to your competitor, all right? So the way I would look at that question is just communicating to your customers. There are people who won't care, to be honest, but then there are those who will be like, you actually planted, I don't know, a million trees, so that there could be, sustainability when it comes to water, etc. And they would really be convinced to stay with you. Part of the thing that I think when I was just doing my desktop research about sustainability is that you could actually build brand loyalty from customers who really care about environment, employment, name it, people with disabilities. You could actually be able to build brand love. Someone actually says, I love this brand because they do things that I really care for. And I think it goes beyond customers. We have people who would work in an organization because this organization stays true to my values as an individual. So, Tmsa, would you have everybody really caring about sustainability? We all know it's a culture thing. If you go to markets like Rwanda, where littering is a big deal, it's because it was ingrained from the word go, and it's been put within regulation. So it's even, people fear to, you've heard stories where people say, if you throw anything, then the government will come for you. So as brands, it's just to look at those, like, we are doing what we can to drive sustainability, but do our customers know? I think that's the way I could look at that question.
Thank you very much. I believe that drives it home. Okay, so Madam Doreen, you told us about data and the importance of data, but how can a consumer benefit from data at a personal level?
Okay. There are many ways. I don't know. There are many ways that consumers benefit from data at a personal level. The first is that brands will create things that are relevant for them and speaks to them. So the innovation and testing before you even put out a brand, where if you had a consumer mindset and you heard from them, so from the design stage of your product, you have the consumer in your head. You are targeting someone you know, and you know what they're looking for. But secondly, you understand the gap. So data will help you to understand what's missing in the market, from what the consumer need and what is being offered. So you are able to fill in that gap between what is being offered versus what the consumer are looking for and it's missing in the market. Very often, you find that we duplicate. You just copy paste from what the other person is doing. So Leo, if someone opens a store of shoes, everyone starts selling shoes, but they really don't understand what's basically is missing. There could be shoes, but something else is missing. So if you have the market insight, if you have the market landscape data, you will be able to tell what's missing in the market and what consumers are looking for. Not just in terms of like items, but even the taste of the items, even the feel of the item that they're looking for. It could be services. What type of services is missing? What feel, what quality of service that could be? The third way that consumers directly benefit from data is from consumer insight. So if you have data from customer experience data, you've collected your customer experience data, they've given you feedback in terms of your brand, your services, you are able to address the gaps, you are able to improve on your services that it meets the customer expectation. And they are more likely now to refer your product or brand to other people to consume it. So if you do not understand their experience and what's the gap between what you're offering and their expectation, they will just move away from you. They'll stop consuming your brand without you knowing the reason, and you keep pushing the same thing. So the customer experience data helps us to understand our pinpoints and be able to address them and keep the consumers excited and happy with the brand. But the fourth way is that the consumers are now, they become more stable. They become, if you have data, they could identify with your brand and the value that it brings to their life beyond just the feel. It can have additional value to them because they are the reason you are there. They're your boss. The consumers ndio your boss wetu. So if you don't attend to their needs, you get fired because they'll stop consuming your service, they'll stop consuming your brand.
Thank you very much. So the customer is at the center of the whole thing, the whole data. Mr. Leslie, you have a vast experience on marketing and strategy. And can you share your experience on marketing campaigns and consumer engagement?
Thank you very much. First of all, let me touch on a question Bruce was asked. Customers go where you go. Customers don't care. The worst thing about marketers and about organizations, an example, is the Tmsa menu, not Tmsa, the mobile money menu was created by someone who was inside an AC, a room full of AC. No wonder that menu is long. If that person created that menu in Kariakoo, that menu will have had two things, toa hela, tuma hela. Every other thing will come secondary. But what do? We create solutions for customers in our comfort, and we think that is what makes sense. We feel so nice saying very big words. Customers go where you go, period. iPhone 15 has USB-C right now. None of us here has complained. We have started buying USB-C to fire whatever, they're called what? Those converters. All of us have started buying those converters right now. Why? Someone said, whoever thought a Techno and an iPhone will share the same, aliyejum goje chini, yeah, will share the same charger. Customers don't care. If today Kilimanjaro starts giving us water using bottles, glass bottles, we will drink that water. Commando, an example is Commando Pepsi. They are doing energy drink, and it's very different. I know, I'm sorry, that's the top of mind example that has come. It's a glass bottle. People are drinking that. Yeah, Azam came with a blue bottle, people are drinking that. Customers go where you go. They don't really care. There's no science. We try to make this thing be very complex, but for the customer, it's a very simple decision to make. For the person to buy a Lamborghini, it goes down to an emotional decision, irrespective of what technological, whatever that car has. Yeah? Someone has, we've spoken about data. And one of the things that is happening to the customer right now, you've asked me about campaigns. The customers are rich. Not with money only, they are rich with knowledge. She mentioned something like that. I will give you an example. The other week, I want to buy running shoes. I love Nike. I love the Nike story. So as I'm thinking about buying the shoes, I took Nike through the funnel. Yeah? And it ended up at the end of the funnel. Then what changes? A friend of mine suggests, have you tried Puma? And I was like, which ones? Puma has not gone through the funnel, but all of a sudden, Nike is competing with Puma. Then someone else asked about New Balance. And all of a sudden, at the bottom of the funnel where Nike thought it had won, it had again at the top of another funnel. Needless to say, Puma won that war. Do I love brand love? Do I love Nike? I love Nike. Will I, when you ask me about when they come and do the brand health tracker, will I talk about Nike? I will, but I bought Puma. That is how the consumers and customers think now. Yeah? And as we are doing these campaigns, you've asked about campaigns and about strategy. The reason why that is happening right now, the reason why marketing is constantly running, we are finding it very hard. We've spoken about sustainability, and I would like to talk about sustainability of our profession as well. The reason why we are really fighting hard to be relevant is because we no longer bring the value business wants for us to bring to the table. Why? Because we have forgotten our importance was the customer. And what did we do? We went to the boardroom to speak about very tough parameters, impressions, 4 million impressions, right? And we felt so nice. I have 4 million impressions. Luchi, which other terms do they use? Yes, liquid on the lip. Yeah, the activation had 50,000 people. Foot flow. We forgot where our focus was. So this is what happened. I'm going to summarize my strategy and campaigns based on that. And this is what happened. The business realized it's not getting the value. It sent us to go out there and do. Why? Because some of the things marketing does cannot be quantitatively measured. It's qualitative. But we never went to the market to go look for qualitative insight. We went to look for quantitative. Tulipita pale na basi. Na ile, the truck. There were 20,000 people. Then we do a video. Yeah? And then we put on our social media, very fast on our social media. Yeah? Then business is asking us, we saw 2 million people gathered. Show me sales. There's no sales. And we could not justify our existence anymore. So what did business do? I will give you an example. I had this client. This client comes to us and tells us, between the RRP, the retail recommended price, and the wholesale price, it's 10,000 shillings. Why? They discovered if we give marketing 4 billion for marketing, we don't get sales. So they recruited the shopkeeper to become their salesperson and told them, we're going to give you such a great discount, recommend our product. And that's exactly what happened. This person is going to make, he has a 10,000 shillings window to play with. Leo atafanya hiyo product iwe 15,000, right? If he's getting it for 5,000 and RRP is 15,000, tomorrow he will tell you it's an offer and makes it 2,000 shillings less, 13,000. You're going to buy, right? And that is exactly what changed. And that is what is changing right now in the industry. And why? Because we stopped using the strategists. And now the strategists have gone into corporate. And that's why we are finding it so difficult, even as we're doing campaigns. If you've noticed, a lot of companies are now not doing campaigns as much. Why? Because the strategist is now in the corporate side and telling the corporate, using data, as she has mentioned, using the same data and telling them, I don't think a campaign makes sense. Let's take this money and do a loyalty program. And that is what, in my experience, that is exactly what I am seeing. It's shifting, and it's shifting very fast, and it's shifting below our feet, and before we know it, it will be very difficult for us to justify our existence in companies as we're doing campaigns because we've let go of the strategists. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ms. Thackeray, how can brands maximize on experiential marketing?
I'm not the best at experiential marketing, but for the little I know.
Then leave that to Miss Cleopatra. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So how can they
Or
maximize on digital marketing?
So on digital marketing, how can brands maximize on digital marketing? As I mentioned before, digital is not only social. So you have to go over and above. We're always used to seeing brands do take a selfie and the most likes will win. We're way beyond that. In 2012, when I got employed at AIM Group and I started doing digital marketing, we used to go door to door and ask brands, open a Facebook page. That's what we used to sell. Then we look for a brand. What brand is this? Coke. You're not on Facebook. Please open a Facebook page. We'll help you open an Instagram page. We'll do a content calendar and send you. Now we've moved way past that. We're giving an entire different, we think through end to end when it comes to digital marketing itself. How can we just do a digital campaign, no billboard, no radio, no TV, and it will still go and it will still reach the audience, depending on what your campaign is, depending on what audience you want to target. So again, digital is very broad. You can use so many different platforms. You don't just have to be on social. Some companies come to us and they say, I want a digital strategy. I want to be on Facebook, Instagram. But you're a law firm. Why do you want to be on Facebook and Instagram? Or you're a mining company, or you're an oil, you know? So different brands need to identify where they have to be on different digital spaces and why they have to be there and what content they're putting out there to reach their consumers. Leslie, I see you very curious. You want to say something?
And considering that some brands do not know where to get their customers or don't know where their customers are, can you recommend like what groups of companies should be on what type of social media and do what kind of digital marketing campaigns?
Exactly. So again, when I'm a law firm and I want to be on social, if I want to be on Instagram, what do I want to do on Instagram? If I want to be on TikTok, what do I want to do on TikTok? You can still be a law firm and be on TikTok. You can still be a law firm and be on Instagram. But what content are you putting there? Content is what really matters. Again, we have to go back to what is insight. Where is your audience? The insight gives you that. Where is your audience? What audience are you speaking to? How are you speaking to them also really matters. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mr. Leslie, you want to add on upon that?
Not really. However, she's mentioned about companies being on social media. For example, law firms and let's say mining companies. There's one thing people are forgetting is what is PR and what is marketing. We think about PR and marketing. Actually, marketing plus empathy is equals to PR. The moment you remove empathy from PR, you are left with marketing. We are the people who never sit places long enough. A marketer will not sit anywhere. Go and see a marketer who's had a brand for more than 5 years. They start getting tired. Yeah? So these companies have opportunities of using their PR angles to show the people the impact they're bringing to the society. However, but the problem is you want to tell people good morning from the Migodis. So, and that doesn't work, of course, with the people. So, yes, as she said, there are opportunities, but however, it's a tool. Social media is a tool. How do you use it? Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll just add a little bit on top of that. Now you see so many companies, they do your normal content in terms of this is our campaign and this is what it stands for. But there's heavy use of influencers. Why? Because I'm influenced by Leslie. If I look at him and he's wearing these nice sneakers, I'll ask him, where did you buy them? He's an influencer for those sneakers, you know, already. So if we have particular people that we see as idols or icons and call them influencers, we give brands to them. We expect them to do 1, 2, 3. Again, for brands, please do not give static posts and give them to your influencers and expect that it will have any impact, because likes and shares is not how you quantify. Yeah? It's what influence has it done. I shared the Hamisa Mobeto post that she did for Tigo's Zanzibar Marathon. And so many people didn't know about it. But through her, you've already spread the word. When you go to the Tigo page, then it gives you more details of this is how you can buy the ticket, this is how this is where you can go buy the ticket. You know, more details. This is when it's happening, this is what time it's happening, etc. But for Hamisa, she'll tell you, okay, when you get to Zanzibar, this is also what you can do. So that's influence. That's still use of social. That's still use of digital for your brand. So we need to identify how we're using the platforms and who we're also particularly choosing to use to represent our brands out there.
Perfect. Very well said. And back to Ms. Cleopatra. Now, how can brands maximize on experiential marketing?
I'll use a lay word. I think brands maximize through leveraging the partnerships that they usually pick to go with, and also avoiding ambushes, as I like to call it. Very many brands see something trending or working for another brand, and then they immediately want to tie into that. Or they'll tell you, this outlet, take it there. There are so many people. Yeah, so strategically leveraging those partnerships and saying, if I'm trying to do something at this venue or a workshop on Friday, can I start getting my value way before? Because on the day of, we're now looking at the very many other things that are happening. Yeah, so they need to leverage, because most of our BTL campaigns start on the day of. Yeah, so leveraging way before, that is how you maximize the value from experiential marketing. And also just, it takes me back to understanding your consumer. Yeah, you may have the best setup, you may have the best plan to execute and everything like that, but taking the time to actually understand your consumer will give you much more value, and that's how you maximize your BTL campaign. Yeah, he spoke about putting, the gentleman who did, I was about to say Tmsa as well, mobile money in AC. Yeah, but it's basically understanding and knowing. Ideally, however much there are so many people at a particular outlet, that is not where my brand is supposed to be. Yeah, however much is the marketing, workshop and everything like that, maybe it's not what is for me. Yeah, so to summarize, leveraging partnerships maximally, and then also learning and understanding who your consumer is. That is how you maximize from BTL. Because for us, we shall still give you a budget with all these things, but as a brand, you have to be very, very, very key to who you're speaking to and how and when.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And that takes us to the end of our panel. And I would ask Dr. Chow, Dr. Emmanuel Chow, to come on stage so that we can have pictures with our panelists and our presenters. Any question from the...
Who sometimes feels like marketing is, sometimes we make it like a science, like a PhD thing. Who sometimes feels that way? You do, yeah? And I think we do. And I think the biggest enemies of marketing are marketers themselves. So I'll tell you something that just from this discussion we've had, and I thank Sakri for opening that can of worms. The consumer, I worked in an agency, maybe 5 years ago. They had sticker on the floor that when you walk into that agency, it says the consumer is not a moron. That basically means the consumer is not stupid, okay? But the philosophy of that agency was you have to put the consumer first. So we could talk about all names of campaigns. You could come up with all sorts of tactics, but the consumer is the first person we need to think of. Now let's think about this consumer. Why is football big? It's a passion point, isn't it? But the amount of content that goes into football, and I think we're just having a conversation with one brand, one head of marketing here. I don't want to mention their name so that I put them on the spot. But you have a passion point that consumers are following, and you've decided to be there as a brand. The content that you get from there is what really matters. So social media, above the line, radio, all those things are beautiful. But you start with the consumer who follows the content. Millard Ayo is a big blog. I think when I was in Nairobi, I used to hear about Millard Ayo. I think it was big at some point, even compared to many African media. But it was the content that he was putting out there. And maybe in a way that was timely for the consumers or the market. There was a point where you were being told, if you don't hear it from Millard Ayo, it's probably not happened, okay? So we go back to the basics. I think, I stand corrected, but I think the brands that will stand the test of time are not brands that will do 50 activities or 50 campaigns. It's going to go back to content. Social media, as Sakri you mentioned, we could put all sorts of posters, promos, etc. The pages that will have the best engagement is the content. And in most cases, not selling content. Heineken, if you go to their page, I'm just mentioning it as an example, rarely will you see product being sold. Your favorite brand, Nike, rarely will you see Coca-Cola. You won't see. I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business. But don't forget that consumer really not interested. So the content, and that's why influencers suddenly are a big thing. Why would give me someone that you follow, an influencer that you feel you follow because of comedy, for example, in Tanzania? Kevin? Yeah. So I'm sure some of you, Kevin Hart, okay, come back home. Kevin Hart, surely. Joti. You don't go to Joti because of anything. It's their content. This lady who cooks, Jamani, you know that lady. It's the content. I'm sure there are many, they won't say it, but there are many you just go, okay, Leo me post nini. It's the content. So any brand that will be able to tick that very well, it will not be a matter of if we've done 4 campaigns or not. It will be a matter of our content resonates with our audience, and consequently we're able to sell our brand. I just wanted to highlight that when it comes to how we look at marketing generally.
Thank you very much. Questions, please?
Thank you, Cleopatra and Sakri. Thank you for the nice presentation. Now, I have one question for Doreen. Data-driven for decision making. That's correct. But it's my belief that for data, it is always purpose-driven. Somebody produced this particular data for a particular reason. Now, for me, as an upcoming marketer who knows that I need to market something. I do not have the know-how, but I know data is out there. How do I sieve through this data to know, okay, this is relevant and this is not?
Sorry, can you come again? Your voice was a bit low, so I was struggling to really hear you.
Okay, the question is, how do I sieve through the existing data, big data, to know, okay, this content is right for my marketing strategies and not this particular one?
Okay.
Keep in mind that I'm not a marketer, for example, a marketing expert.
I know there has been a challenge in terms of data, and now we are turning data into insights, because what you need is insights. It's making that data into very simple, practical things so that you are able to see where are the opportunities, where are the needs, but where the consumer or the people I'm targeting sits. For instance, I think Sakri said here, before you can even choose, how many people when you go on YouTube, unasubiria tu kale ka skip button katangazo? Can you raise your hands? So most of us, why? But there's someone putting ads on YouTube. But if we did a quick research here, we really view that ad to the end. And it's very irritating when you're listening to your favorite thing and then ad can pop up. So basically, if you are targeting someone and you're thinking of YouTube, you should have that in mind, that how many people will skip the ad. So you need such insight before you can decide where to put your ad and what type of ad. Because sometimes people would watch an ad, not skip, because of the content, the creativity behind that ad. So we are moving from big data, like big numbers. They just confuse people. If we tell someone that we were talking about, let me just give an example. Okay, we've lost 1 trillion as a loss for Air Tanzania. But if I say the same information and say, we've lost 100 hospitals across the country because of the money that Air Tanzania realized as a loss, people will understand, because a hospital speaks to their life. It speaks to their health. But when you say trillion, someone like, she mentioned the father, someone like my mother would just get confused with the numbers. So the numbers doesn't make sense on their own. So we are moving from numbers to insight, and insight is beyond numbers. It's the qualitative insight, the why, the how, where. What's behind the numbers is more important. So it's really being able to unpack data, work with someone who is able to make that data very useful for someone. And that's the most important. If we look at, someone was talking about brand success. At Ipsos, we've run a number of studies scientifically in labs, and we came out with 3 conclusions. Brand success is based on only 3 things: understanding the context, shaping expectation, and being empathetic. So it doesn't matter what's happening, but if the brand is able to bring those 3 things together, it will grow and be sustainable. It will be successful. But when we talk about brand, people think of big things. Brands are people. Nowadays, we're talking about influencers. They are brands. Brands are products. Brands are service. Brands are, you can bring it all down to what brand mean. So that understanding is, what does context mean? What does empathy mean? What does shaping expectation mean? The same thing I said, you keep the value proposition. The lightning cable was the most profitable thing Apple had, because they used to sell it separately. But tumekuja kwenye UC charger, no one is complaining, and people were at Dubai Mall fighting to be the first to own iPhone 15, despite the cost. So that understanding of the value proposition, but also understanding the needs and gaps of the market will give you success.
Any other question from the audience? Sarah?
So my question is to Leslie. I liked your example of, the M-Pesa menu being, simple in such a way that the mass consumer then gets to understand it. So my question is, what would be your advice, seeing as you're a strategic expert, what would be your advice to these type of clients who have created such platforms but are consistently adding things on it to the point where it looks like we're confusing the, we're confusing the client, the customers, and they're not really able to understand what the platform stands for anymore. How do we go about convincing these clients to, approach it in a different way, and what approach would that be from your perspective?
Thank you very much for that question. There's something called frugal innovation. The problem with innovation is we always think that innovation is an app. Innovation can be as simple. An example, what is M-Pesa? M-Pesa is a series of messages sent between people. It's just that. It's a message. It's a message saying, Leslie has given Bruce, that money has not moved where it was. It's at the bank, CBA bank probably. I don't know. I think that's where the bank, or NMB, whichever bank that is, yeah? The money is there. So it tells me, Lucci has given me 2,000. It tells Lucci, you have 2,000. We have your 2,000. We have acknowledged, you have 2,000, it's on your phone. Then Lucci sends the money to me. Yeah? It tells Lucci, now those 2,000 you had, 1,000 is only what is remaining. Then it sends me a message and tells me, Leslie, there's 1,000 shillings Lucci has given you. So So M-Pesa is purely a text, based on a text message. The mobile money service is based on a text message. That is called frugal innovation. As the problem is, not so much the problem, the challenge is, as Africans, we think everything should be complicated. Bruce has asked about marketing. We've made marketing look like a science. It's not. Yeah? So how I'll advise such a client is very simple for me. It will be, create your solutions in the context of your clients. Yeah? Create your solution in the context of your clients. Create this solution at Jackie's. Go sit at Jackie's, for example, and see how people are having a problem paying, yeah, for a service, and decide what is the one thing everyone does. You get, for example, I don't know if it's, let's say, for the shortest menu for just sending money, probably, is *150 *75 hash. What are people using the most goes back to data. These people have this data, what people use the most, where are they coming from, where is the money going to? One thing I will have told my clients is look at the data. What does the data tell you? An example, when you go to do a deposit in a bank today, they ask you, what is the reason for deposit? I always write very stupid things there. Kuonga, kukunywa pombe, which I don't drink. Yeah, kwenda kuchoma pesa. And I write very silly things there. Why? Because I know they are not going to take that. They won't take it to go use it. It's just been written because of compliance for them to be told, kumbe, this guy said they are going to do terrorism. It's just so that someone can avoid blame. The thing I tell my clients is go back to what the numbers say, number one. Number two, go and go down to the people that are using these things and have a conversation with them. When you go to Kariakor and you see that guy, right now it's really hot. When you go to Kariakor and you imagine that person is going to press *150 something hash, get 20 whatevers, then go to number 4, get another 20, go to number 6, get another 20, go to number 7, get another 20. But yako mbaya, ukosee number, tunarudi tena mwanzo. Sometimes that is unavoidable. So what will I have done also sometimes to help a client? I'll tell the client, invest in education. Bring the application, invest in education. Number 2, Collaboration of brands. If you're a bank, I will say, can I partner with a telco and tell the telco, I want someone to access my app for free. I am going to foot that bill. How many MBs is someone using to use your application? Right? I am going to foot that bill. However, let them use my app for free. Let it be zero rated. That is also a solution. Then I'm going to invest my money in education, educating the end user in doing what? In using the application. Yeah? So there's no one solution to this problem. It's called a wicked problem. A wicked problem has more than one solution, has more than one definition. So that is how I look at it and advise my clients. Thank you. Have I answered your question?
Thank you very much. Now, I would like to ask Dr. Emmanuel Chow to come on stage for picture section. Thank you very much, dear colleagues, for the panel discussion. That was very wonderful and very insightful. I believe we got to have more knowledge, our PhDs. Thank you very much. Yeah, the first picture is with you and the presenters, so you have your presenters there. You need something, Mr. Bruce? And that is also with all the panelists. And can I also request all the sponsors and the organizing partners? Can we have our sponsors on stage, please? Can we have our sponsors? I see Atwood, I see Smart Codes, Bramex Solution, Kepler Consultants, Atwood Communications, Coca-Cola, Johnny Walker, our supporters, Kango Production, 361, Fen Marketing, GSP Marketing, Integrated Group Marketing, Buzz, Jackson Group, Cornerstone, Hardy Pro, and Tech Charge. Thank you very much. Can I also have the TMSA team? We have an amazing team. We've been seeing people moving around. Yes, can you please call, Yusuf, please, can you call the team? Madam Astrida, I see you there. Mm-hmm. Any other team that works with TMSA? We have our wonderful ushers. You've been seeing them around. These are students from different universities. And they are our amazing partners. They're always there for these events. Round of applause, please, for this team. Some of these members, we've been with them for 3-4 years since they were students from Zumbe University. And now they are business owners. They're finalizing their master's degrees. And it has been quite an honor working with them. And it's not just this team. In the evening, you are going to see almost 20 of them. Thank you very much, Tmsa team. We appreciate your time, we appreciate your talents and everything that you put into making this happen. And I would like to welcome Dr. Chow for closing remarks.
Thank you very much. I think I will invite some few of our colleagues, just say a word of appreciation. Smart Codes, you have been working with us as a major partner. Could you just come here, just a word of appreciation, 1 minute. I think now he's here, just 1 minute appreciation, and then we are just closing. But of course, I must say thank you very much for joining us. Has been really a wonderful session. They're really, really happy to have you in this conversation. I hope that this actually kind of evoke a new journey in whatever you're doing.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chow. Thank you, everybody, for actually making the time to be here today. I'm Sarah Wanasakami from Smart Codes, and it was such a pleasure to work with the TMSA team this year to be able to put this event together and to have everybody come through for such engaging discussions. We really appreciate your time. We are hoping to see you in the evening. I know all of you are excited about the awards, and if you get an award, be a good player and congratulate, there are others who may not have gotten the award as well for being nominated. So we thank you so much, and God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah, for those remarks, and thank for the rest of the team, our partners, our just amazing team that have been together. Thank you very much for helping us to put this together. It's a big work. You cannot do it yourself. You need several hands to make these things happen. May I appreciate my team and all the partners and sponsors, and I also appreciate you guys. Let's meet each other in the evening, enjoying the beginning of Friday, which is a big momentum. Asante sana na mchana mwema, tutaonana baadaye kwa wale ambao tutakuwa pamoja. Asante. Jamani, napeana hata mkono kwa washiriki wa tukio hili. Asante sana kwa na wewe. Nashukuru sana. Yeah, that's good. Yes, I'm going to